In 1872, the Reverend Grant wrote, "Those who have never seen Superior get an inadequate idea of hearing of it spoken as a lake. Though its waters are fresh and crystal, Superior is a sea. It breeds storms and rain and fog like the sea. It is cold in midsummer as the Atlantic. It is wild, masterful, and dreaded."
It's called Superior for a reason. Unforgiving, cold. It's often referred to as hauntingly beautiful. Maybe it was that beauty that many men came to explore, touch, and feel. But Lake Superior needs to be respected, or it will turn on you in a second. Thousands have died under these waters. Hundreds of ships now make the bottom of Superior a graveyard. This is the story of three men who will attempt to cross Lake Superior on nothing but stand-up paddle boards.
Look at this, man.
They're standing up to honor all the lives lost on the lakes. They're also standing up to raise awareness to keep our freshwaters fresh. And as deadly as Superior can be, we owe it to this inland ocean to keep it as pristine and wild as it was centuries ago. As you're about to see, Lake Superior is unpredictable. But on this adventure, maybe not in the way you'd expect.
Hopefully I don't lose that GoPro here.
It was very meaningful to come up to Whitefish Point and ring that bell, and it really set the tone for the spirit of the paddle. We were able to, really assess the gravity of what the Edmund Fitzgerald means to everybody up there.
November 10th, 2017. Quinn Morris, Jeff Guy, and Joe Lorenz from Stand Up for Great Lakes came to Whitefish Point. This is the start of a goal, but it's also the start of an emotional journey to cross the greatest of the Great Lakes.
I think that going up there took it to a new level for me, because I've been up there, I've been on Lake Superior, but being a part of that ceremony and prior to that, just getting to actually paddle out there that day, it was just a kind of an almost spiritual type feeling. I can't really explain, but that took it to the next level for me.
And going in the museum and seeing all the artifacts that have been found and all the history, and then seeing the bell was huge for us, but then being invited to ring it choked us up that night, and meeting all of the people involved in the shipwreck. The whole staff is amazing, the family members, and there was a pretty good snowstorm going on, and the place was standing room only. That's how much not only the Edmund means to everybody, but what the museum means to everybody. The lake was glass. The fog was not super thick, but it was just like enough to make it unforgettable.
In the middle of Lake Superior Provincial Park, just south of Wawa, Ontario, the guys from Stand Up for Great Lakes started their adventure at a very foggy Sinclair Cove. Both safety boats waiting offshore. On their boards, food, lights, and drinks, and a very special tribute.
Our goal is to leave Sinclair Cove and head out to the Edmund Fitzgerald. And what we wanted to do is something special when we go over it. What we're doing is we're paying our respects to the Fitz, but also we're paying our respect to the sailors that have gone down. So we have 29 carnations on the actual wreath, which is 100% biodegradable, and it'll float. And then we have one single that'll represent all the other ships and sailors that have gone down on all the Great Lakes, but also in Superior especially.
More than 60 miles was ahead of them. But the first 20 minutes of this paddle may have been the most significant because of what this place means.
Probably one of the most beautiful, rugged places that you've seen, especially from a boat, and it didn't disappoint.
Agua Rock is a sacred place to the Ojibwe. For generations, they would come here to record their dreams, visions, and events. Painted on the rock are centuries-old paintings. Moose, bear, deer, caribou, and other creatures. The Ojibwe also painted paddlers in a canoe. Right by those paddlers, there's a horned animal called Mizupishu. He's known as the Great Lynx, or Spirit of the Water. Mizupishu has two sides. He could either provide safe passage for humans by calming the waters, or he could turn on you and bring storms by thrashing his tail.
So to be able to start there and somewhere that sacred to the natives and seeing it that calm and that foggy was just like so overwhelming emotionally that I teared up just looking at the paintings there, for real.
It was the perfect way to start, and it again, just there's so many different parts of this paddle that had more meaning than just starting and finishing.
It was anybody's guess what Mizupishu would provide for Quinn, Jeff, and Joe over the next 24 hours, but they were about to find out.
The lake just welcomed the guys like I've never seen anything like that.
The start of these paddles are almost like a party. Spirits are soaring.
We were flying and the fog starts lifting as we're leaving. It is perfectly glassy. You never see Superior like that. And the whole time we're sitting here thinking, all right, this is a great start. You know, that nothing can take this away from us, no matter how rough it gets.
You were swimming in the middle of Superior?
And the Spirit of the Water was being nice.
You look back and you could still see the cliffs and the island, and it was that fog bank was still like protecting that sacred location. We got out of it and it was almost like a blessing for our trip, you know. Someone was definitely looking out for us on this one.
We're coming along the island and it was just almost unbelievable how calm the water was. And we had maybe this like tiny little breeze coming at us, but we were just slicing through it. And I'm thinking to myself, right, this is nice, but you know, we're gonna get into some harder stuff later.
It could have been any better, you know. We never expected it to be that way. Superior is always the one that everybody talks about being unpredictable, and it was unpredictable because that was the last thing that anybody would have predicted to happen. So it really did end up doing the least predictable thing it could have by just giving us just a big sheet of glass the entire time.
Oh, dude, a fish just jumped right there.
When we set off from Sinclair Cove, their speed was 2.6 miles per hour. And then by about 11, 12 o'clock in the day, they were at 3.4 miles an hour. Around noontime, it was starting to sink into me that this was going to be a paddle of the lifetime for them. They were running into a unique event that would probably never be duplicated.
Though their energy was high, every hour they took about a 10-minute break to recharge. And each one of them has a different and interesting way of taking their breaks.
They all have each of their own characteristics. Joe is being the personal trainer. You know, he starts digging right into his boxes, his waterproof boxes, and you know, getting some drink and getting food and kind of sorting it out what he's going to be doing. And Quinn,
This is the best pizza I've ever had.
kind of plops down on the board and sits with his legs in the water and starts eating and talking.
We got Joe over here. Got Pim Daddy. He's back. The last time on this journey, Jeff was not smiling, so it's good to see that smile.
Look at that beautiful shoreline.
And Jeff is probably the most laid back on the break because it looked like he was in a recliner all the time. He would immediately just assume the position of relaxation on the board
And he had it right. He had it all balanced out right, and he could access his water and his food and just kind of chill.
They do a lot of different things when they have the opportunity at those breaks, because it is a couple minutes away from the focus of the paddling at hand, and it is an opportunity to take in those moments. And just even though 7 to 12 minutes, but that's 7 to 12 minutes of, hey, I'm out in the middle of Lake Superior, miles from shore, and I'm sitting here eating a sandwich on a paddleboard. I mean, how great is that?
They were about 5 hours from the site of the Edmund Fitzgerald, and with everything that was going on, the fun, the unbelievable smooth water, and even cleaning the lake up a bit, some things may have been forgotten.
I'm not gonna lie, you're starting to feel it a little bit in the shoulders and the elbows a little bit. Definitely that 4 hours of sleep last night is hitting me right now.
Safety Captain Ryan Matuzak noticed the change in Quinn.
You're sweating more than you think, though.
Yeah.
But this is part of what we do out here.
Yep.
Let's not act surprised, right?
Yeah. It's just this filter, I'm only being able to get like a little bit at a time.
Okay. Well,
in that last break, I hit the wall pretty good there. Not like physically as much, just, or not mentally, but like just like down a little bit.
Quinn was dehydrated, something that could have been prevented.
Let Ryan choose.
Who's Brian?
Ryan.
Don't do this to me.
Let's get all the way up, bro.
It's not working.
You kidding me? Quinn.
Are you serious?
I told you to check it like 6 times.
Hey, let's fill the bottle all the way.
Freaking out right now.
Hey, Quinn. We'll give it 2 Camelbacks.
He's sweating now.
It'll be a workout, but I can do it.
They used these water straws to drink right out of the lake for hydration. Quinn never cleaned his out after crossing Lake Huron last year. He barely had 20 ounces of water since 8 a.m.
Ryan was the first one. He comes up to me, he says, "Hey, what's up? Why are you, and are you dehydrated?" And I was like, "Yeah, probably."
so Quinn's got just a little bit of dehydration going on, so we're going to stretch this out a little bit, just a little bit longer. Last break he told me that he was feeling it, and he's never told me he's felt it in any of these events. So.
Then I started questioning him. He realized what I was doing, and you could hear the frustration in his voice. He just said, "Mike, I'm drinking enough. I'm drinking enough, I'm okay." Quinn's quite an athlete, and I think he realized where he was at and was kind of, I don't know, frustrated with himself.
And after a long time, you don't realize it, but in that sun and you're paddling, you're losing a lot of fluid. I was losing more fluid than I was taking in. And I think it was such good weather and so calm that I forgot to do the most important thing, which is take care of yourself first.
No harm, no foul, but that's the exact reason why Ryan Matuzak and EMT Mike Sanders are on these trips. They look after the guys during these paddles. Mike and Ryan will let them go to their limits, but if they're in trouble, they can pull them.
The agreement we've got between each other is that we're going to try and get through this and make this a successful event. Sometimes you have to be tough. Look where you're at. You're in the middle of a lake, a huge lake, a great lake. It's not going to be easy. It's pretty amazing just really to think about it. I've seen these guys where I thought they were going to die, and it's pretty amazing just to know that they get through it by digging deep, by relying on one another, and then of course knowing that we got a team right there to back them up.
As we headed to the Fitzgerald site, and mind you, they kept accelerating across the lake. By the time we were a mile out from the Fitzgerald site, they were doing 4.5 miles an hour, just cruising across this glass. And we turned on Gordon Lightfoot.
Dude, it's so crazy that happened right here.
Turned it up loud. I think they were probably making over 5 knots over that last mile, just cranking out the strokes.
The scene was really unfolding dramatically. We had super high anticipation, You know, we had just been paddling all day, so we're getting amped up as we're getting closer.
Approaching it, and you have the sunset off to your right, and it's a little hazy, and the day's been perfect, almost blessed for this occasion. I have this wreath on the back of my board that we're about to place down, and to know like what those sailors were going through at that point in the lake, literally you were there.
43 years ago, a terrible accident happened right here. 29 men lost their lives. Quinn, Jeff, and Joe's excitement turned somber.
It hit me really the most, you just like fully realizing we're above the Edmund Fitzgerald, like literally above it. And everybody that was on board, they're down there. That really brought it home, that we actually did have the opportunity to do something meaningful for these people right above them.
We came together and we had our boards almost in a triangle. We put a wreath with 29 carnations on each of our paddles. We lowered it down into the water, and then we threw, Joe threw a 30th flower out there too. And we just sat there and had a moment of silence and watched it. One thing that actually I was thinking when we were sitting there and the wreath was just kind of floating between us, I started kind of looking at the flowers and I was thinking to myself, oh, that's a guy, that's a guy, that's a guy. And that was hard to think about, but I'm glad we did it.
To see the guys out there to lay the wreath and the respects that they had for it, and knowing how they feel about the Great Lakes and especially this opportunity, it was amazing.
Crazy thing was, is as we were putting the wreath in the water, the sun like literally went out really slowly. Dude, words can't describe how we're feeling right now.
Then something unexpected happened.
We floated over to get ready for the night. I'm sitting there with my feet in the water, and I'm looking over and the wreath just sitting there. It doesn't want to move.
We were drifting. The wreath was not.
Something was holding it there.
They paid respect one last time. 17 miles to go. Superior was still surprisingly calm.
Trying to look at all these stars is awesome. Every one of your paddle marks in the water. Really? Oh, it looks freaking sweet. When you paddle, it leaves a white spot in the water.
A beautiful night, but stressful for the captain of the David Boyd, Daryl Ertel.
It got very dark. No moon at all. The most dangerous part of the trip was coming up.
And definitely not for safety captain Ryan Matuzak. This is when things got, well, we'll just say a little sloppy.
Need you guys to try and stay together this time instead of spreading out over 80 yards, okay? I gotta get Quinn to stay with one of the groups.
If a guy gets too far away from the boat, something happens, and he were to fall off his board and hit his head on the board going into the water, in the dark, there is not a really good chance that we're gonna get back there in time. I mean, we're gonna try like hell, but let's just be honest.
Safety is a major component of these crossings.
That's why I slip into the survival suit. If I have to go in the water, I want to be able to stay in the water if necessary. Stay in there for whatever length of time is required. That cone of light around the boat, that's their safety zone, where all eyes are on them. I wasn't going to let any of them get out of that.
But they did. That's when Ryan had a bit of a come-to-Jesus meeting with the guys. In this video, he sounds a lot calmer than he really was.
Hey boys, we need to go back to the program we've been doing for 2 paddles across the Great Lakes, which is staying together and tight, okay, in the dark. You guys got to do a little bit of something to stay somewhat together. I can't have you where I can't see you because I'm freaking out.
Ryan started to get a little crunchy because we were straying a little too far from the boat, and I'm actually glad he did that because we were being a little nonchalant.
Ryan, we probably would have died on Michigan without him. We were going to do it all wrong. The whole system that we have is because of him, and we've done it right successfully 3 times.
Lake Superior is a big lake, but Quinn, Jeff, and Joe were in a funnel of sorts. We weren't the only ones headed to Whitefish Point.
Pretty much loitering right in the middle of I-75 for freighters.
Whitefish Point is the critical turning point for every freighter that's going upbound into Lake Superior or downbound into the Soo Locks. If there was ever a traffic jam on Superior, we were in it. 6 freighters passed us in a matter of a few hours.
But you got the paddle boarders, I believe, in the water?
Yeah, they're crossing Lake Superior and their destination's Whitefish Point there at the lighthouse.
Wow, it's good timing. Oh, well, that's awesome, guys. You guys have a good one. Good luck.
They were entertained by the fact that there's 3 guys trying to cross Lake Superior on paddle boards.
Good. As long as somebody's entertained.
Whitefish Point was in sight, the lighthouse doing what it's supposed to do, guide mariners.
That was actually very cool to be using that. Our lighthouse was our guiding light to bring everybody in and to round out this adventure.
Paddling through the night with that beacon of hope, you know, the lighthouse, it was nice because it's not just a lighthouse, it's the one that we're going to. It's where the museum is, and it's literally calling us with a flash of light.
It was just around 5 a.m. July 11th, 2018. Family, friends, and supporters gathered at Whitefish Point to welcome the guys home.
Nerve-wracking, but exciting. They're amazing.
They were just offshore. Fishing nets prevented the boats from getting any closer. This was their final break.
You're less than 1 mile from shore.
It was also caught live on Michigan This Morning. Thousands of people were watching.
And you are taking a live look from Whitefish Point right now, and you can see Jeff Guy, Joe Lawrence, and Quinn Morris paddling their way to shore.
Then something special, breathtaking happened.
And then the biggest freighter on the Great Lakes, one of the biggest freighters, goes by behind us.
It was an emotion not lost on the guys or the people on shore, but now it was time for Quinn, Jeff, and Joe to end their adventure across Lake Superior.
It was pretty special to see Melissa up on shore, and also my parents and everybody else that made the trip, because I mean it was 5:45 in the morning. It shows a lot of dedication.
Awesome, glad you were there.
The 3 men from Stand Up for Great Lakes paddled close to 60 miles in less than 22 hours. It was anyone's guess as to why the lake was so calm. Was it a blessing from Mizupishu, or just plain luck?
You've got to see it to understand it. The amount of human spirit exerted in this event is something that it's deeply touching.
Take what you want from it, but maybe, just maybe, the respect and love these guys give to our lakes was given back. Something worth standing up for.
Thank you, Lake Superior. Thank you.
They prepared for the absolute worst. They got the best, and they just crushed their crossing in a very, very sound manner.
Why am I getting Why did I stand in the middle? Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
So like Jeff said, the most we've raised, and it is an honor for us to present this check to you for $15,000 today.
Thank you so much, guys.
The year-long adventure was over. When Jeff and Joe stood up and put their bodies to the test and raised $15,000 for the Great Lakes Shipwreck Historical Society.
The whole route was planned to pay respects to this crew and this wreck site. They could have chosen a straight route to Whitefish Point. They chose one that came off of one of the most beautiful stretches of shoreline you can imagine, paddled out to one of the most famous shipwreck sites in the world, and finished it off by heading on their way to Whitefish Point, one of the most notorious weather locations on all the Great Lakes. What a story.